Hello everyone and welcome to another Marvel Monday. As you can see, I've replaced Steven with my French press here. He is out taking some more time away, and this will actually be kind of I don't even know the right word for it, but a pretty meaningful stream because if you haven't been following along in like the various posts we've been making, we're actually moving office spaces, and so the studio is going to be moving. That's why we're not streaming tomorrow. We're going to be busy rebuilding and crossing my fingers that we're going to be able to have that up in time for us to be doing the Ashes stream on Wednesday. So this will actually be the final Marvel Monday in our current location, and it'll be the last stream in our current location. I'm flying solo, of course, Steven gone, so the kind of outline for what's going to be happening, after posting on social and asking people what they thought I should play, I'm going to be doing a solo campaign through the Rise of Red Skull. And that way when Steven's gone on Mondays, I can just pick up where I left off and kind of keep going through this story. So hopefully by the end of the year, we can get this campaign complete. But I posted about this morning asking people who they thought I should play through the solo campaign. And solo is probably one of the best parts of, one of people's favorite things we hear about all the time is the fact that you can play this game solo. People do the same thing with Arkham Horror, but they do it two-handed, and the game wasn't necessarily designed to scale from 1 all the way up to 4 players. Whereas Champions, from the very start of the game, on the core box, right, it says for 1 to 4 players, so you can actually just play with a single hero through games, and in this case, through a campaign. And interestingly, you know, I think a lot of times Steven and I have been doing 2-player particularly, and that's a certain style of play, which changes how you value certain cards. And so the difference between the way you look at cards in solo mode versus how you look at it in 2-player or even 3 or 4-player, which is what I was playing before the pandemic, is radically different. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to start the campaign against Crossbones, of course, but before I do that, I'm going to pick a hero, I'm going to look at deck building, I'm going to look at cards through the lens of solo, and from there, actually going to put together a deck, play Crossbones. We'll see what time it is. I might end up trying the second scenario. We'll see where we're at. So before I dive into all that, though, I would love to know how everyone's doing. Make sure I look and sound okay. Steven's gone. He's usually the one that handles the kind of technical components of the stream, so I get a little bit nervous that I forgot to hit some button or click something right where the audio or the video is not going to be happening just right. Ran some tests beforehand, so crossing my fingers, but I'm going to refresh here and see if chat starts coming through. I'm on the wrong window. Cluster says, what's up? Yeah. How do we look and sound? Oh, man. I hit refresh on my chat window, which is where the tech people are. Cluster's saying AV is great, so we're looking. I refreshed over there. I can see Bryce and John's faces, and that was the wrong button. I was terrified for a second. It's like, what have I done? William, what up? Saying it sounds great. Well, that's awesome. Glad it sounded good. I'm gonna get a YouTube check-in real quick, hopefully, if I'm lucky. And we'll go from there. Mr. Micah earlier asking, is this the new location? This is not. Still in the old studio. Tomorrow's the big moving day, which is why, of course, we're not streaming. So that'll be quite an interesting challenge, especially since Steven's gone. Again, once the pandemic hit and we switched to 5 days a week of streaming, we had everyone start working from home, except for me and Steven ultimately, and then ops when they were coming in to ship stuff on off hours and stuff. But that meant that there was some funny streams where Steven and I were kind of like basically just figuring it out, right? Duct tape everywhere, just figuring out how to get this thing together. We got the truss in, the overhead shot and whatnot. And so he's gone, and he's the person who is responsible largely for the setup of the current audio, visual, all the components, right? John's historically been our like video tech master. He had a huge background in film and did a bunch of like for the news and whatnot. So we're going to be scrapping together, and that'll hopefully come together by the time we're rolling on Wednesday. Alpha on Twitch saying, all good here. Still haven't heard from anybody on YouTube, which makes me a little concerned. I'm going to pull up YouTube just to see what it looks like. But usually that's where chat's most active, so I'm pretty surprised to not see people pinging in on YouTube. That just might be my feed of chat. This is the kind of thing you just want to make sure. Bryce saying we look good on YouTube, which is good. So I'm going to pull up YouTube manually because I don't want to miss all those chats. Hopefully everyone on YouTube's hanging out and not freaking out when I'm not responding to them. But glad to know Facebook and Twitch are working super well. Yeah, it looks like YouTube's working just fine. I'm just not getting the chats. So, you know, one thing, we did a podcast last week with Rodney from Watch It Played. And it was really funny because we both do a lot of streaming content, a lot of video content and whatnot. But we had a call set up on Zoom to basically record the podcast so we could see each other, and it felt like we were more in the same room as the goal, more conversational. And it took us 15 minutes because the technical difficulties that were happening over on his side, and then that created issues on ours when we were trying to fix it, which is just funny because it was like he mentioned something, but it was basically like it's pretty much every time he goes live, he feels like something else goes wrong. So in this case, it's like I feel like that whole live technology, honestly, and the infrastructure on like the servers and whatnot. Speaking of duct tape, I feel like that's held together by duct tape in the like macro universe and how that's all set up. So it looks like YouTube chat is happening. Evan, awesome, saying he loved the podcast. Glad you enjoyed it. Rodney's a fantastic person. It was a absolute privilege to have him on the channel or on the show to talk about how things are going for him. So if you haven't checked that out, it's called the Covenant Cast. Episode 151, I think, is the one Rodney was on. All right, I have YouTube up. I'm going to pause my YouTube video so that my internet doesn't just crash from everything that's happening right now. Some questions coming in on YouTube. Benjamin saying, is this a solo game or will the pot of coffee be assisting you? Well, technically, I guess that means that all of our streams have been 3-player streams because we haven't gone a single day of the stream without coffee. It's a very critical element of what we're doing. When people ask, like, what's the equipment you're using and stuff, like coffee is probably the #1 tool happening. William saying always enjoys the podcast, but he really loved the last podcast with Rodney. Yeah, it was great to get to hear from him, and it was a good chat. Ben says, I want to see if those are new cosmic boards to Zach's left. My left, this? Does that look like a cosmic board? It looks blue. Cosmic boards are black, right? Isn't that how that works? It is a new cosmic board. We're going to get to that in a second. It's a prototype. I'm not supposed to show you guys this. It actually just came in today. And you know, normally there are a lot of people seeing this to go through quality and whatnot before we show it to anybody. But we're gonna take a sneak today. We've got to. Phenomonic says the real question is why French press. So we did AeroPress for a while. Short version is pot of coffee is like the least quality way to get a cup of coffee. It is what it is. It's quick and efficient for a bunch of coffee. We did AeroPress for a long time, and then I've done French press probably for close to a decade now, and that's just my favorite way to get a cup of coffee. Carlos saying your hair is getting long, Zach. It sure is. I actually got it cut today, interestingly, but it is definitely getting long. Michael saying my TC tokens and boards for champions arrived a couple weeks ago. Thanks so much. They're really awesome. Glad you're digging it. I've seen people playing without it at this point, watching various videos online, and it always, I forget that the system for the cosmic boards and tokens isn't something that just is like all the time for people. Frank is saying, I got my Circle and Done board for Arkham the other day, and it's gorgeous. Well, I'll pass that along to Jonathan. I think he's listening right now. Bob Benton saying French press is the best press. How do you guys make your coffee? Is there a better way than French press? Logan wants to know, does the French press hate downtime as much as Steven? We're coming around. Campaign particularly, downtime got really good. Joseph saying needs more tokens. Well, we're always going to be making more of those for as long as we can. So patience and we'll get there. Chris saying, for the new board, can I pre-order or do I have to wait? They're not available yet. We'll get to that point. Ben Davies saying watching videos without the boards is hard to do. That is one of the things that we think about when we're designing. It's not really the goal, but I will say like the whole goal of the system up front, right, was one of the very first games I played. Steven was playing Black Panther. I was playing Spider-Man, and he had his dial of health over at his side, and I think he had like 2 health left, and I had no idea. And like it kind of came down to a critical moment, and I just had no clue. So we really wanted to make it obvious from across the table how much damage each player had taken, how much damage was on the board, and that's definitely something that comes across on the stream, I think, where you can just look at the table and see what's going on. There's not a stack, there's not dials, and all that kind of stuff. Cluster saying, I just made a pot of coffee, but fresh ground is good stuff, although I've recently gotten into tea, which has been interesting. Yeah, I had a tea phase as well. I like tea a lot. I think if I didn't drink coffee as much as I do, I would be more into tea. What up, Steve Gall? Saying, Monday again already with a wave. Glad to have you here. Aiden saying, I got a board and tokens for myself for when I play with friends, and they're always so jealous. I'll pass that along. John's going to love hearing all these kind comments about these. Let's take a look. I'm going to go down to the table cam. Pardon my reach. And we're going to take a look. So we got some prototypes here, trying some different colors. We had a red one. The red has been tough. Red's always a tough color. Red's like my favorite color to do anything in, besides my clothes, which is typically darker. But red acrylic, particularly like what we make our tokens on, has always been a challenge because like basically the more translucent it gets, the more pink it looks. And then if it's not translucent, it just comes across as like fake. It feels like cheap almost. So we're kind of having the same problem with the boards. Totally different process. It's not made out of acrylic. But trying a few things here, trying it in black, trying it in blue, which you can see here on the stream. Both of them have this red back if we're going to go with one of these non-red colors. But it's definitely coming along. I like this blue a lot, surprisingly. But the black looks good too. Benjamin saying, love the blue. What's everyone think? Blue or black? Steve's not here to, you know, tell me about his taste. He has good taste. The other thing to note, I'm going to put this here so you can see it. Also got some prototypes back on these, which I'll probably end up using today. These are some special tokens. I don't know if you guys can see them from way downtown. I'm sure if you have, some people watch on like a giant screen, and if you zoom in, you can see. And got some new generics going on too, with some interesting designs that you guys are going to see later. We're not quite done yet. Zach saying, I love, not me, but Zach in chat saying, I love the blue with the red Spidey all day. And then PMK saying, I thought I was going to like the blue more until I saw the black one. Nice. Yeah, I think they both look pretty good. Overhead's a tad blurry. Let me see if I can fix that. I think I can. That help? Mike saying both look great. Let's see if the table gets a bit gets more in focus. Worse. All right, give me a second. Joseph, no, it did not help. All right, I think. I'm going to call in John on this one. John, can you hear me? I'm going to unmic for a moment. We'll try to get this solved. Appreciate the feedback. Hold on, John. I'm going to turn your audio on. The stream is going to be able to hear you, John.
Okay.
Right, John, you can say hi. People are loving the designs.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. It's very exciting.
What's the button I'm looking for here?
The one that says AF. And you just should click on it and hold it down, and it should fix it.
All right. If I die, you guys know what happened.
As soon as I saw people calling for the camera to be fixed,
AF?
I knew that your life was in danger.
I don't see an AF, dude.
Should be up in the top right.
Huh.
Thanks, guys. I'm watching the chat.
If I was like holding the camera, where would it be?
Top right.
On the back?
On the back, yeah.
Ah, that's why I
above the
couldn't see it.
viewfinder. That's why you got to get up there, unfortunately.
There we go. Tell me how that is, chat.
Whoa.
Much better, says Warner. William says better. Ben says fixed. I like this. All right, John, thanks for your help.
No problem, man. I'll be here if you need me.
All right, we are back. B. Chris saying no Thor. All right, so here's the dealio. Now let's get off the prototype tokens and whatnot. If you're unfamiliar, those are cosmic boards and tokens. This is what we'll be using today. You can see Crossbones up here with the villain version. If you have any questions about those, let me know in the chat. Happy to answer them. But it's a system we designed to be compatible with Champions and to really make it super easy to see what's going on the table. PMK say 9 out of 10. Dang near perfect. All right. Yeah, Ark, I didn't want to stand on the swivel chair either, but I didn't have another option readily present. Ben saying, when do they go on sale? As soon as we can. It'll be probably at least a few weeks, but we've been working on those for a long time, and we're excited to get them out. Now, let's get down to business. I had a lot of people, a ton of people, on the social saying basically like which hero I should play today. A ton of people wanted me to play Spider-Woman. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super amped to play Spider-Woman. In fact, like, I almost played her in our current campaign Steve and I are playing. But I felt like the first time through the Rise of Red Skull, I had to play Captain America. Like, I didn't really necessarily have a choice in that. So she's currently what I'm planning to play on our next campaign through. So we're, I think, 3 scenarios in on our 5 scenario campaign. And so we're going to finish that, and then we're going to go back through it again with new heroes, and I was planning on playing Spider-Woman. So if I play Spider-Woman today, I'm not going to play her in the next campaign, likely. That would be the probability, especially because there's a few times in the next month or two Steven's going to be gone. So I am planning on hopefully being able to finish this campaign in the next month or two. That said, I am willing to play her. You see, she's one of the 5 that are here. I also have my absolute favorite, which is Spider-Man. Don't get to play him enough. I would love to see him played in solo. I think he's a hero that is like undervalued across the board. I think he's got some really cool things that he can do. Particularly Aunt May is just probably the best card in the game. Other heroes that I haven't spent as much time with that I would like to explore a little bit include Black Widow, of course Hulk. Can't not love Hulk. And Doctor Strange. I actually haven't ever even played as Doctor Strange, so he's on my list of people that I want to play with. So those are my 5 that I'm kind of down to. And I want to hear from chat what they want to see in the solo campaign. Angelo saying Black Widow or Spidey, please. Phenomeноx saying thanks. That's funny. I just bought Strange from y'all. Hey, appreciate that. He's crazy good and super fun. A lot of Doctor Stranges coming through, weirdly, and Spider-Mans. Oh man, chat is on fire. I'm also having to watch 2 chats, which is normally we have a feed. We use a service that like puts all the chat into one, which makes it a little easier to follow. Wow. You guys are awesome. It's really cool. Like, again, I was saying earlier, this will be our last stream in the current space. And this store, we've been here a little over 5 years, 5.5 years, and it's just been fantastic. I think it's been a phenomenal 5.5 years for us, just across the board locally and on the stream and online and whatnot. And so it's really cool to get to do this every day, honestly. Dan saying anything but Strange. Man, there's a lot of Spideys coming out. A lot of Spideys. Hold on, I'm trying to catch all these chats. Dysphoria saying, we all know you want to play Spidey, just play him. That's a good point, Fade. He says, you know you want to play Spider-Man, plus your first game of Marvel Champions was with Spider-Man. Why not make your last game of Champions in the office with Spider-Man? All right, I'm just watching the chat. You guys are great. I see all these comments coming through. All right, I'm going to do it. David, Buddhist Possum says Spidey, Spidey, Spidey. Everyone else saying do what you want to do. So let's go Spidey. I'm going to go Spider-Man. I'm going to put these other 4 away, and we'll see what aspects we're going to go. Again, it's solo, so it's a little different. I want to break down his cards. A few things worth noting, right? So let's pull up Peter Parker. He's got a plus. I have the tokens and boards, so it's just too thematic. We just got to do it. And he's my favorite, and I haven't played him in a while. Anyways, Peter Parker, 3 recovery, which is okay. He also only has 10 health, So health is usually his big struggle point, which we'll get back to in a minute. Hand size is 6, which is good. He also has a genius, or he is a genius, and it says scientist resource. He gets a mental resource. So he basically has a 7-card hand. He gets a bonus resource when he's in alter ego. That's really good. It's very tempting to switch down to Peter Parker. Now on the flip side, on Spider-Man, he's got 1 thwart, so he's not that great at handling the scheme, which naturally tells me he wants to hang out in hero mode when and where possible. He's also got a 2 attack, which is okay. That's in the middle, right? 1, 2, and 3 are kind of the extremes. And then 3 defense. So he's really good at defending, which helps with his lower health and his ability to basically avoid taking damage and needing to flip down. But again, flipping down is very good for him. He also has the Spidey sensibility. As Peter Dingle, when the villain initiates an attack against you, you draw a card. So he's really good as a hero because if he defends, even if he defends and blocks, right, he's going to actually technically have a 6-card hand. And that's just very, very efficient. Everyone in chat, it's a lot of people saying justice, a lot of people saying protection. So we'll see what's happening. Let's see. Heroic Skeleton saying full art Spidey. Yeah, they had this early on at Gen Con, and then they sent us some to give to people at our. We had an event called Champions Weekend back in November, where one of the designers, Boggs, came down and we got to reveal some cards and have a Q&A and whatnot. You can find most of that online still. And then let's break down his card pool really quick, just so we get an idea of what we're working with. All right, so the first thing, let's just look at his kind of fundamentals that you really need to know. He's got these web shooters. So it costs 1, and they have 3 counters on them, and you exhaust them, remove 1, generate a wild. So that means he can do things like vision, as an example. He needs a specific resource type to trigger an ability. This is pretty good on. The other thing is it's a one cost to play, which is this card plus the 1 you use to pay for it, right? So technically it generates 3. It only nets you 1 resource after three turns. So it's still good, but when you realize that this is basically a +1 resource card, I think it just gives you some context into how efficient it is. Now what it does let you do is basically like if you have let's say you're in Peter Parker, on your Peter Parker side, 6-card hand, you get your free resource to play this, and then you flip over and you're in Spider-Man mode. And so now you basically have a 7 resource turn on your Spider-Man side, which is pretty efficient. He also has what I think is one of the best cards in the entire game, Aunt May. So it's a 1-cost support, and in your alter ego form, you can take this action, you can exhaust her to basically heal 4. So what this allows for is when you've taken some damage, right, let's say 6 or 7 damage, he can flip down to Peter Parker, use this to heal 4. On the next round, he can heal 4 and flip back to Spider-Man. And so this lets him flip down without actually having to exhaust to recover. This is going to be important because if he defends and he's already exhausted, he won't be able to recover the turn he goes down. Or if you want to like attack or thwart on the spider side before you flip over, or vice versa, right? Even if you just have 4 damage when you flip down, this lets you basically recover 4 before flipping back up. She's insane, right? Even if you just do that 1 time, it's a 1 resource for healing 8. If there was a card in the game that was 1 resource, heal 8, everyone would play that card in their deck, no questions asked. Good to know. Well, thanks for the immediate feedback. People saying the camera is too high to see my bottom row, which makes sense because I made it that way. Next, he has one of my favorite allies in the game. This is Black Cat. She's only cost 2, does 1 thwart, 1 attack, but you'll notice she doesn't have a consequential damage on her attack. That means every time she attacks, she doesn't damage herself. Technically speaking, she could stay on the board the whole game once she comes into play. She's really good with cards like Inspired, which is a leadership card that gives her +1 attack, because it's a free 2 damage attack pretty much every round. Next, let's look. So one of my other favorite cards in his set is Backflip. You get 2 of these. It's a 0 cost. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, you prevent it all instead. So if it gets really out of hand, they get a boost card that's big, or they have a bunch of weapons like Crossbones is going to have. This is just a 0 cost. Avoid it. Now, the most thematic way this happens is they attack you, you're Spider-Man, he triggers Spidey sense, you draw a card, you draw into a backflip, you cancel the damage. It doesn't really get better than that. Next, we get Enhanced Spidey sense. This is one of the most powerful cards in the game as well. I think this is why I like Spider-Man so much. His raw stats aren't, the best in the game, so to speak, but his cards have to be some of the best in the game. Like Backflip for free is insane. Aunt May is insane. Black Cat is insane. Enhanced Spidey Sense is one of the few cards in the game that just cancels an encounter card. Straight up. There's no penalty. It's not like Get Behind Me where you cancel it and they attack you. Or you have to take damage or anything weird. It's literally just cancel it. Straight up into the card. He also gets 2 Webbed Up, which is expensive, but at the same time, one of the most powerful cards in the game. I think in solo particularly, a few of these cards are insane, right? So Webbed Up is going to stop 2 attacks because when they try to attack, they discard this, and then they get a stun. And that could buy you so much time in solo. It's unreasonable. Same thing with Enhanced Spidey Sense, though, is the canceling the card. Like if you're playing not Heroic, which my plan is to play on Expert, it literally just stops their entire encounter turn, which is absurd. Same with Backflip, too, right? Like it canceling the attack that they get to do. It just shuts down so much of the value that the villain's bringing. Next, we also get Spider Tracers. It's attached to a minion. When attached minion is defeated, remove 3 threat from a scheme. So this is really his only in signature pool way of removing threat. He's not great at removing threat, but this kind of makes it somewhat reasonable. I think in solo, the value of this card goes through the roof. In 2 or 3 player, you usually have a player that's really good at removing threat. So a lot of times I feel like this is a dead card in 2 player, like when I'm playing with Steven. In solo, though, I think this is actually going to be super critical to get on the table. And then, of course, it wouldn't be Spider-Man if he wasn't swinging around. Swinging Web Kick, 3 for 8 damage to an enemy. Again, in solo, like if I look at Crossbones stage 2, he starts with 14 hit points. So 8 damage is 60% of the entire first stage of Crossbones in Expert mode. So that's super good. And I have 3 of those. So literally, I think, let me look at 3. Crossbones 3 only has 16. So if I hit all 3 swinging web kicks through my first run through the deck, I've done all but like 6 damage that I need to do to win the scenario. So that's a really good card. So it really, there's a few ways I think you can go with this deck, right? I think you can try to cover up his weaknesses by going Justice and handling Thwart a lot better. Or you could even go Aggression and try to basically just blitz out the game. I saw a deck going around that's like a Captain Marvel Justice campaign monster deck. And it's basically someone played through, I think it's Expert, Rise of Red Skull, and beat the entire campaign in 15 hero turns. I don't know the math on it. I just know that people have been talking about it. So that's kind of where I'm looking at, like Crossbones. He only has 14 health. If you could just damage him out quickly enough, he's got, it looks like 3 stages to his main scheme. So I assume if you just go, you could probably actually get him off the table, especially in solo, super quick. Just burn him. So I'm not typically the kind of player that tries to cover up the weakness, but I am going to look through the Justice cards. I think it's a viable aspect to look at, and it's one that I usually don't pair with Spider-Man. So I want to take a look and just see how I feel about those cards in solo. Now, Spider-Man Leadership, when I was playing in 3, before the pandemic, my most common group size was 3. And I played Spider-Man Leadership probably the most prior to the pandemic. I played way more since then because I'm playing every Monday. But I had a lot of fun with that. So I'm least likely to play Leadership just because that's the one I've done the most with Spider-Man. And second behind that's actually Protection, even though I think him in Protection is super good. So I am going to look at Protection as well, particularly with this like solo lens. All right, let me catch up on chat real quick. I kind of got distracted by my thinking there and going through those cards. Mike's saying every villain can be fought solo. All right, that's true. You can play anything solo. Same with the core set, for people asking. Dayton saying Webbed Up is perfectly costed. I think it's, if it were 3, it would be too good. But at 4, there's sometimes where I don't play it. But I think I would rather lean on that side than the other side. Reread Enhanced Spidey Sense. All right. Enhanced Spidey Sense. When a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its win reveal effects. Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't just cancel the card. That's correct. I haven't ever played it that way. But anything that's win revealed. So like the worst cards are win revealed. Like as an example, Caught Off Guard is a win revealed, which is insane. Advance and Assault are both when revealed. Exhaustion, which is the worst in the world, is when revealed. Even Shadows of the Past, which gets your Nemesis out, all that's when revealed. So you can cancel all that out. Yeah, Phil's Match saying it would be bananas at 3. I totally agree. Like if Webbed Up were 3, I would play it every time. At 4, I still play it, but I don't play it every time I get it. PMK saying, in his opinion, Spidey has a lot of inbuilt defenses. Going aggro would be useful to pick up extra damage. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think I would ever play him aggro in a 2 or 3 player game. I don't think that's his role. Like normally I like protection because he's the kiter. You're like distracting the villain while your friends are actually doing all the work. But that's not how I expect this to play. So let's take a look. I'm just going to look at the aggression cards. Let's actually do justice first because I think I'm leaning aggression, but I want to convince myself otherwise. All right, let's look at these cards. I'm not going to lay them all out, but this is a pile of random cards that are happening. All right, I'm just going to start going through the cards and seeing if any of these make any sort of sense in Spider-Man or they'd be on my short list, basically, to use. First, we have Stealth Strike. Hero action, it costs 3, deal 4 damage to an enemy if it's defeated by its attack, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So this is going to be pretty good against minions, but I don't know that I would ever pay 3 for it, being honest. Great responsibility. I love the art and I love the name given the Spider-Man, but it says when any amount of threat will be placed on a scheme, you take it as damage instead. The challenge of this card is it's a hero interrupt, so threat has to be being placed while you're in hero form, which means he's not scheming. It's just the auto threat that's going on. Usually it's going to be 1, so a 0 for 1, it's okay. Not the best. Unless he hits an advance, and then it may be pretty good. Spider-Man also doesn't have a ton of health to just be swinging at that. Next, we have Concussive Blow. Confuse an enemy. If you paid for it using a physical resource, deal 3 damage to that enemy. Cost 3, so 3 for 3 damage and a Confuse. That's not bad. I'm going to put it in the short stack. Just the ability to confuse him and go down to Peter Parker without really paying a penalty could be pretty good. Next, we get Foiled. When a boost card is turned face up during a scheme activation, cancel its boost icons. And it's an interrupt. It's not a hero interrupt, which means I can actually play it. So we're just going to go in the short stack. Next, we get Beat Cop. This is the card. 3 cost, exhaust it, remove a threat. That's super good. I mean, that's a 3 of because it's not unique if I end up going Spidey Justice. Next, we get... I'm going to look at some of the allies. These are kind of random order, pardon me for that. But Quake, 2 cost. It's good because I feel like Spider-Man's curve is not the highest in the game. But after a minion schemes, exhaust Quake, deal 2 damage to a minion. So that's only me. I think I'm going to spend a lot of time in hero mode. So I'm not going to get to trigger that super often because I don't think those minions are going to be scheming a lot. Jessica Jones, classic. She's super good. Same with Daredevil. Those got to go in. Power of Justice is really good because there's a lot of 2-costers that end up being good enough to play, including Under Surveillance. That's at least a 1 of in the deck. You can attach that to the main scheme. In solo, 4 extra threat is way better than in multiplayer because it's proportionally way bigger. Like the first scheme for, let's see, Crossbones, attack on Mount Athena, it's 3 per player, so it only needs to get to 3. So taking that from a 3 to a 7 on like the first turn buys you so much time on that first side scheme. Next, we get Agent Coulson. After his play, you can search your deck and discard pile for a preparation card and add it to your hand. So he's a really good ally for 3 because he's got that 2 thwart, which means he can remove 6 if he's thwarted 3 times. But he also goes and gets a preparation, which even if you don't play the preparation, like if we look at counterintelligence, it's just a card in your hand, right? And I'd have to look at all the preparations, which we will, but basically looking at it and saying, what resource types can I just go fish out of my deck is kind of where I would be approaching it from. So he'll go in the maybe pile. I think he's good to look at. Next is Spycraft. Now this is a preparation, which is notable. So like between Spycraft and counterintelligence, I'm going to see if we have the full suite, basically. And you could technically run 1 of each, but some of these, as an example, like Spycraft, you can only play if you have a spy, which Coulson is one, but Spider-Man obviously is not. I don't like Spycraft. I've never liked Spycraft. I get it. You can use it to basically go to the next card and not have to deal with Shadows of the Past or advance at the wrong time. So it'll be in my short list. I might end up with one in the deck, and if I end up really liking it, who knows what happens. Next, we get Followed. Attached to a side scheme, max 1 per scheme. When attached side scheme is defeated, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So I don't know how many side schemes I'm going to be getting rid of, to be honest. I don't have the thwart to like really make use of this. It's in the maybe pile because Spider-Man doesn't have a ton of like AoE damage to a bunch of minions effects, but I doubt that ends up making the cut. Next, we have Interrogation Room. Max 1 per player after you defeat a minion, remove a threat. So that's a good example of like, I'm going to put 1 in the stack because I think that could end up going in. Just having some way of removing threat consistently for Spider-Man is going to be important. Surveillance Team, 2, you get 3 snoop counters. You can use it 3 times. I don't think that's doing enough to really. 2 for 3 is not. I don't think it's good enough. Clear the Area is an event. Hero action thwart. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. If it removes the last threat on the scheme, draw a card. This card is good. 5 points for that one. I also like that like purple looking Iron Man suit. 5 out of 5 stars. Next we get, these are some of the new cards I haven't had the chance to play with yet. Skilled Investigator, 1 per player. After a side scheme is defeated, exhaust it to draw a card. So now we're starting to see some stuff that could make it, worthwhile. A 0 cost upgrade. Don't ever count out a 0 cost upgrade because the cards that get rid of upgrades, having that around is super handy. I'm with you, Blank. Mental, yeah, Josh saying mental resources to help Black Cat's ability. What is mental? Oh, clear the area, for sure. Ooh, so good. 1 for 2 is solid. 1 for 2 and draw a card back is awesome. Next, we get the Spider-Man Ally. I will be using that in a future stream and deck. I can't use it because obviously I'm Spider-Man in this game. And then we get Heroic Intuition. Maybe. I doubt that I end up doing too many thwarts with Spider-Man. You never know. And then there's For Justice. So remove 3 threat from a scheme, 4 instead of you paid for it using a mental resource. Not awful. I do like these preparations. I'm going to keep 1 of each around, and I'm going to look at the neutrals as well, just to see what we can cook up. And I'm going to keep this stack here because one of the cool things about the campaign is you can actually switch aspects between games. And even if you lose a game, you try again, you can switch aspects. So you never know. I might get to a villain where I just can't beat it with whatever my deck is. So having a couple decks ready, I think, will be handy. Addison saying, as a solo player, you need to build in contingencies for advance or you're just going to lose. Dayton saying, For Justice, oh, my YouTube chat's finally working. Great. Now it's going to be way easier for me to follow this. For Justice, getting more and more borderline despite starting out as the best Justice card. Yeah, it used to be an auto, and I really am using it these days. 2 for 4 in solo is pretty good, especially if I have mentals floating around, but we'll come back to that. Brad saying, more attack needed. Let's, I get the doubles. Those are probably in no matter what I do. Probably not on a Mansion. Maybe on Mockingbird. I do like First Aid. It depends on the allies I end up running with. Coming through Lockjaw. What's everyone's opinion on Lockjaw? People love that card. Maybe a helicarrier, probably not. I'm going to put emergency here. I feel like emergency and warning are interesting. Although, I'm with you, Dayton says he doesn't understand in what world Lockjaw is ever good. I mean, if you don't have an ally and you have resources and you need an ally and he's in your discard pile, it's better than not playing an ally. Addison says, actually, Enhanced Spidey Sense beats Advance, right? You should be fine. I think that's what you save it for. When you can't have an Advance happen, you just hold that card. Downtime. I think a 1 of downtime is pretty good. So the preparations I had if I end up playing Coulson were somewhere, there they are, Spycraft and Counterintelligence. I'm basically also looking at like what resource icons I need. Another one is target acquired. After a boost card is turned face up, you can discard it to cancel the boost icons. We also have Espionage, which lets you draw if something gets boosted. I'm just going to put one of each of these out so I can see them. Endurance. I think downtime and endurance in the campaign are actually surprisingly good. I know. This is where you cut to a video from me from a few months ago saying I'd never play that card. To the rescue, I just don't see how that ever gets played, unfortunately. Honorary Avengers, not awful. 0 for 1 health if my curve ends up being a little too much. That's really about it. So looking at this, I mean, I have a 3, 4, 5. There's enough cards here to build a deck. So let's put these over here for now. And I'm going to look at aggression. That's just, my instincts are telling me that aggression is the way. But we will see. What do you guys think about Spider-Man Justice? Are there any cards I'm missing that are like super important to this conversation? Brad, you're right. Downtime does seem a bit redundant with Aunt May. All right, let's look at, I'm just going to put protection over here. We all know Spider-Man protection is good. The question is Spider-Man aggression any good? Beat Cop was definitely on the list, and the Van Brandt. Those are both 100% happening. All right, let's look at some cards. And again, we're in solo, so it's a little bit different. Enraged here, 1 cost, attached to an ally, 1 per ally, gets +2 attack and takes +1 consequential damage after its attack. 2 extra damage is a lot more in solo than it is in 2-player. Like, it's a lot more. There's math there. Mike, I didn't put Nick in the stack, but it's possible he ends up going. What up, Brandon? All right, next we have Combat Train. I think those are both that and the Heroic Intuition are just the kind of, it's just a one-off card that you include because you do. Attack Team, I don't think it's efficient enough anymore. Power of Aggression probably goes in. I think there's going to be enough 2s going on. Martial Prowess, exhaust Martial Prowess, generate a resource for an attack event. Swinging Web Kick counts. Let's make sure there's nothing else going on. No, webbed up doesn't count. So that's probably not in. I think a hero probably has to have a good number of attacks to make that doable, but we'll see. It's in the maybe pile. Relentless Assault, I think that's super good. There's going to be minions. Having Overkill is good. 2 for 5 is also good. Mean Swing. When your hero makes a basic attack, it's also a weapon. Spider-Man doesn't have a weapon. The only one I think I can play is Jarnbjorn, which I don't think I will be playing if I play this. I definitely won't be playing Mean Swing. I don't think there's enough going on there for that to happen. Next up, these cards are wildly organized. I'm looking at you, Steven. All right, let's go ahead and look at Dropkick. 4 damage to an enemy if you paid for it, using only physical resources, stun the enemy, and draw a card. So, you know, I have webbed up, that's physical. Backflip's physical, I doubt I would ever use it for that, but you never know. Web shooter's physical. It's possible that I would pull that off, not consistently, but if you hit, it's really good. Stun, 4 damage, and a card back for 3 is super good value. Brad said you better be running and gunning if you're playing aggression. I agree. You're not wrong. But, you know, they have thwart control in weird ways. As an example, chase them down. After your hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme for free. 2's a lot in solo, I think. All right, let's keep on going down. I'm going to save the allies for the end. Chase them down, definitely on the list. No doubt there. Piercing Strike. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. This attack gains piercing, discard any tough status tokens from them. So 2 for 3. This is like a super awesome Haymaker. And it's an attack event, and it's physical, so I think it goes on the list. Jarnbjorn's a big maybe. I love Jarnbjorn, so we'll see if we end up getting there. Next, we get Toe to Toe. Choose an enemy. That enemy attacks you. Deal 5 damage to that enemy. I think this is really good in Spider-Man. It's an attack event. It's 1 for 5. He gets a card when he's being attacked. So play this card, spend 1 from hand, get 1 back. Could be good, especially if it's like you wouldn't draw a card necessarily against a minion attacking you, or do you? I don't think you do. Yeah, it's when the villain initiates an attack. So Toe-to-Toe's going in the stack for sure. Skilled Strike. 0 for 2. All right. You know, I'm not hating it. Not in solo. I feel 2 damage is so much more. Because, like, as an example, it's a Crossbones stage 2. It's my first villain. In 2 players, 28 health. So 2 extra attack is 2 out of 28 damage that you need, as compared to 2 out of 14. So that's a huge, huge difference when we're talking about the value of these cards. You'll pay for that after the villain attacks you. Remove a threat from a scheme for each damage that you took from the attack, up to 5. Even if that's 2 or 3, I mean, any amount of removal of threat is going to be good. Get Over Here is not awful. I'm never going to be Ariel, but it's just 0 for 1 to a minion. It's not gonna make the cut, but it's close. Next we have Counterattack. After you take damage from an enemy, discard it, deal an equal amount of damage to that enemy. I don't necessarily hate it. I'm liking the idea of Spider-Man aggression, though. He's angry. All right, I already got that over there. We have Melee. 3 damage to 2 different enemies, essentially. I don't think I can ever afford to pay 3 for that. Uppercut's 3 for 5. I mean, maybe. There's a lot of attack events, though. I'm happy to see that. I don't think Enraged ends up making the cut. On the ally front, I love Hulk. He's going to go in no matter what happens if I play if I play aggression. Valkyrie is also really good. After play, deal 2 to a minion. 3 if you paid for it with only lightning. Tigra, interesting. Braun is really good. He's actually super helpful in this match. Hercules is interesting. I feel like I am going to have a 6-cost card in my hand that's maybe 3 or 4 cost, and I would never play him for that. Each minion engaged with you. I don't know. He's on a short list somewhere. And then Battle Fury is still popping around. Any player's control after you attack and defeat a minion, deal damage to your hero and ready. So Spider-Man readying is really not that critical. He's only got 2 attack. He might have 3 if I get a combat training down. So I don't think Battle Fury is it. Yeah, I agree, Heroic. I don't think Hercules ends up making the cut. So this is kind of interesting, right? I have where's it at? Spider Tracers. So I'm looking at it, and the cards that are really important here are Chase Them Down, and you'll pay for that. Now, Chase Them Down is nice because it is mental, and I can go get it with Black Cat. That's just a nice little synergy. Same thing, honestly, with Toe to Toe. I think Toe to Toe is super synergistic here. Those are important cards. I think Relentless Assault's just a fantastic card. How do we feel about Martial Prowess? I think I would have to run a lot. Piercing Strike and Uppercuts. I don't think it ends up making it. I don't think I have that kind of time in solo. I wish Jarnborn gave +1 attack. Coulson saying you don't have that much ramp up time. What up, Keith? Saying just hopped in, asking if I'm going to play Spider-Woman with Steven. Yeah, I'm saving her for our next campaign. So we have 2 more villains to play against in our standard campaign, which will resume next week. And then after that, I'm going to play Spider-Woman. The crew at home saying check out toe-to-toe and counterattack. Toe-to-toe, choose an enemy that enemy attacks you, deal 5. Where is counterattack? There it is, counterattack. So you basically force them to attack you, and then if you take damage, you're going to actually send it back to them. Now, the nice thing about this is, obviously, it's also synergistic with backflip. I can just cancel the damage. Also, if I have Aunt May down, I don't have any damage on me. This is particularly powerful because looking at Crossbones, let's say he has a couple weapons. He has 4 or 5 attack. Even with a 3 boost card, he's looking at 8. He hits me. I do a bunch of damage back to him. I flip down, and now I recover with Aunt May. Yeah. And then, of course, they attacked me, so I net a card back. So, like, it's just super powerful. Super powerful. Weirdly, this is not what I thought would happen. I thought I would, eventually him and Han go protection. But I am liking the idea of just trying Spider-Man aggression. And since Steven is not here to tell me I'm crazy, I'm going to do it. Josh saying Hall of Heroes. So, yeah, I need to grab, here it is. Steven was playing an aggression deck. So I'm going to look through his deck and make sure I'm not missing more cards. He mentioned, chat just mentioned Hall of Heroes. So I'm going to look at that. All right. Now you have to remind me, chat, when Steven comes back that I took this. Ooh, press the advantage. What's it do? Deal 2 damage to an enemy. If the enemy is stunned or confused, draw a card. I don't... I mean, he might be stunned. It is mental. I'll at least pull it out. Hall of Heroes probably goes in. If it triggers once, it's really good. Sentry. He's super good, but I don't think I can handle all those encounter cards, so we're going to keep on moving. Relentless Assault's been there. Spider-Girl. That's actually really good. And I'm Spider-Man, so you gotta have Spider-Girl. She-Hulk, the ally. Whew, the aggression got some heat in the ally department recently. Alex saying, with all the mental, are you not going to play the Hulk ally? I don't know yet. I mean, I think the thing I always come back to with Hulk, the ally, is 2, 4, 3 isn't horrible. And if he hits anything that doesn't get rid of him, we'll see what the math ends up being. What up, Daniel? Steven's out for the week. He's on a trip. He's out in the middle of nowhere. He'll tell us about it next week, I'm sure. Brant saying, toss some of the 3 elves for piercing strike, etc. Let me take a picture to see what I nuked from Steven, so he's not confused next week. Chris saying Hulk's also a really decent blocker of minions. I agree. I don't think you have to necessarily use them unless the time is, right. How do we feel about press the advantage? I feel like the only time I'm realistically going to stun is off of webbed up. So that's going to be a really, really pocket example. It is mental, so like it's good with Black Cat, I suppose. People also saying Hall of Heroes is questionable. Let's do what I know. Definitely a combat training. Definitely, you'll pay for that. Definitely toe-to-toe. Definitely chase them down. Definitely relentless assault. Press the advantage is good with Spider Girl because she stuns and confuses a minion. That's true. Skilled Strike is basically the same thing as Press the Advantage without a condition, and it's 0. So let's put Skilled Strike up. I'll put this Press the Advantage back in Steven's Hawkeye deck. Let's see what we're at. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. And I need 9 more technically to be at my minimum. I'm definitely putting in the 3 doubles. 3, 6, 9, 6. So I'm at 34. I think I have 6 spots left before I get to 40. And I'm not committed to sticking at 40. How often is the Crossbones going to be tough? Like, is Piercing Strike worth, 1 or 2 to be able to basically get rid of a, like even a 1 of to get rid of a tough in the right moment? Yeah, Daniel's saying not often, so I'm going to leave that in the short stack. I do like counterattack. I can only have 1 on at a time though, so I'm only going to play 2 copies because I want to see it and I'll use it when I can see it. I also don't have a lot of 2-cost aggression cards here. Now the allies are going to change that a little bit, so we'll see what we end up on. Definitely playing Hulk and Brawn and Valkyrie. And I'm going to look at Sentry again because I feel like Sentry is just too good. You guys think Sentry's too good not to play? That's so much damage out of Sentry. All right. How do we feel about Hall of Heroes? Yeah, I think Sentry's just too much damage in solo not to play. Logan says, do you ever add things just for theme? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to not go Hall of Heroes right now. But I do like Spider-Girl. And I do like She-Hulk. Like, she does a ton of damage too, right? Everyone's saying, don't do Hall on this matchup. Travis, what up? Hope you're doing well, man. Dayton said, for Crossbones, I think you want to have a cheap deck because you'll spend a lot of time clearing out weapons for 2 resources each. Yeah, I mean, I think that Spider-Man in general makes me want to play a slightly tighter curve, which is why like the aggression cards you see here are those lower cost cards. Brent's saying, I suggest you drop a toe-to-toe and chase them down, and you'll pay for that for Piercing Strike and Melee. So I just don't know if it's got the value, though. Travis says, loving your content. Been driving across the country a lot lately and literally listened to your streams for the entire drive. 15 hours-ish. Wow. Why are you driving so much? What's going on in the world of Travis? Saying this is the 3rd game I've gotten into because of you guys. That's phenomenal. That's awesome. Can you follow, like if you're driving and just listening, is it if you know what the game is it easy enough to follow along? Ah, nice. Moved to Florida. It's crazy down there right now, right? Hmm. Well, that's good. Vacation and family stuff. I'm going to put one piercing strike and one melee off to the side. I might end up running one of each just to see if I play them when I see them. Gubson saying another Floridian here. Travis saying Florida's like Mad Max with tank tops and shorts. That's hilarious. Duckspeed says, yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do on long drives. That's phenomenal. It's crazy. We asked a week or two back how many people watch our streams on like 1.5 or 2 times on YouTube after they're uploaded. And a lot of people were saying that they do that so they can watch them all basically. But then like the number of people that we're finding out that are watching these like driving or in some other way is just crazy how many different ways people watch this content. Great. He's saying, Travis saying it's pretty easy to follow. You guys do a great job explaining why you do things. Huh, that's awesome. It's so cool. We kind of get to be all over the world when we're playing this game, which is insane. Pedro saying, I'm watching from Brazil. It's crazy how many people watch from across the world. Yeah, early on in the pandemic, I'd do a daily kind of check-in on where people are watching from, and it always blew my mind. All right. I'm going to put Mockingbird in my ally stack. Endurance is definitely going in. Downtime's not. You think Emergency is good enough here? First Aid is very interesting to me, but so is Honorary Avenger. Oh, is that the rest of Steve in the deck? It is. And what about old Jarnbjorn? I feel like turning every physical card into 2 damage is pretty interesting. What up, Adrian? Saying good evening from Denmark. That's awesome. Addison says, the podcast sometimes give me an existential crisis, though, so I like the streams more. Unlimited data helps. What do you mean by existential crisis? Glauco saying, Aunt May's dinner is the best kind of downtime. She makes the best cookies. Tiago says, I hate Emergency. Yeah, I usually don't like it, but one threat in a solo player game could be a huge deal. Southern Fried saying, are you playing two-handed or true solo? True solo. Travis saying, I started listening to the streams before I played, but once I got into it and knew the cards, it's helpful in deck building. You make neat decks. Steven was always a buddy back in the Netrunner days. Yeah, he's good at deck building. He's good at playing. Addison saying, you guys go off on the meaning of life sometimes while talking about game theory. Yeah, so sometimes it gets deep. Just chatting. Having a good time. Okay, let's get down to business. Tell me this, chat. How do we feel about First Aid? 1 for 2 health on an ally in solo is insane, right? And I can get First Aids with Black Cat. I know I build my whole deck around Mental, Black Cat, and then Hulk. It's just going to be a disaster, isn't it? Tiago saying, I'm a Brazilian watching from Slovakia. That's fantastic. What up, Klaus from Denmark? Hope you're doing well. Travis says, is 3 toe-to-toe suicidal? The thing I really like about toe-to-toe is it's a great way to deal with minions. So like, you know, if you have a 1 attack or sometimes a 0 attack minion, they just attack you for nothing and you punch them for 5. Alex saying he's from Romania. That's awesome. So the First Aid's actually not for Spidey. I have an Endurance in the deck. That's going to happen. It's so good in the campaign. The First Aid's for the allies. So 1 cost to give you 2 more turns with a single ally. A lot of times it's good in 2-player, but in solo, I'm only going to get to play so many allies every turn. Toe-to-toe Addison does trigger Spidey Sense, assuming it's the villain attacking me. Daniel saying First Aid Century feels good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. First Aid, when I get it going, is super good. Pater saying, I guess I'm going to put 2 First Aid in, just because everyone thinks I'm crazy. Someone asked earlier if I ever put in cards in my deck for theme. And really, I put in cards more often to confuse my opponents and or my friends watching at home on the stream. I think there are cards that don't present obvious value, especially in heads-up games that are super good. But in this case, that can be used in interesting ways. What up, Jerome from France? Pedro says, is First Aid your Marvel Champions backpack? Maybe. Backpack, that's an Arkham Horror card for reference. All right, so let's go with what we know, shall we? I'm going to get my sleeves out. It's kind of the nature of deck building for me. You just start putting cards in a list, and then you cut back until you end up at a level you're okay with. All right, I'm definitely doing 2 First Aids and an Endurance. And a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'll do stacks of 3 because it makes counting easier. I'm also doing the 3 doubles. Energy, Strength, and Genius. You'll pay for that. I think that's just all the like remove threat is almost an auto include for me at this point. Same thing with Chase Them Down. Okay, and let's see if there's anything else that's in the absolutely unquestionably going into my deck stack. In terms of allies, I think I'm 2 attached. Hulk, Brawn, Valkyrie, Sentry, Spider-Girl, half because she's good, half because of theme. I think Mockingbird is too good not to field here. And then She-Hulk, I think, is a worthwhile play. It's $7 is a lot. Just too many, I think. I think that's too many. Travis, Hulk bad. I think the primary use of Hulk actually in solo is to soak a couple attacks. So being able to block basically minions at will. And then you just kind of swing with him at the very end. You don't do it when like the 1 health is going to be the difference maker on like a Black Cat. We'll see. We'll see if I cut back on that. So then, you know, I'm looking at it, and it's the kind of thing where, like, I think in solo, the problem is there's a lot of cards you do not... Oh, I'm definitely going to go 2 counterattack and 1 combat training. There's a lot of cards you don't want 2 copies of, or you never want to see 2 on the same turn. Good example of this, toe-to-toe. I'm probably not going to play more than 1 of these a turn, if I'm being honest. So there's and Skilled Strike is another great example. Where you know, I'm probably only going to get to use 1 of those around. Same with the Relentless Assault. I might end up on 2 of those. And this gives me room for like 1 Piercing Strike and 1 Melee, which just gives me options. And let me see what that would put me at. Let's just start sleeving these and see how many we're at. Bob's saying, why would you block with Brawn if you don't have to? So I probably wouldn't block with Brawn. It's Hulk who I'd block with. Brawn is just going to be 5 attacks for 5 damage and remove 5 scheme, right? So that's 3 for 10 total, 5 damage, 5 scheme. If I first aid him once, it's 4 more. So it turns a first aid for 1 to 2 damage and 2 threat. It's Hulk who has 5 health for 2, where, let's say there's a 2 damage minion out, he can block that twice, and then on the next turn swing, even if he gets, he's going to get rid of himself, so it doesn't matter if you flip a mental. Tiago said, bored of Nick Fury. Now, Nick probably needs to be in. I just glossed over him, forgot to come back. I am wondering about She-Hulk. We'll see. I'm going to make my final cut back in a second. These are all going to go over in the maybe pile. This is in the gone pile. How do you feel about Helicarrier? Helicarrier and Emergency are my last kind of holdouts here. You can't. I'm going to stack these Spider-Man cards out because you don't need to see those. Travis saying Quinn Carrier over Helicarrier. Maybe? Is there really a difference? You can only play the Quinn Carrier when you're in your Avenger mode. That's true. Where is it at? Quinn Carrier has the mental. You can use it to discard the weapons. That's fair. It's very similar. Addison said, I don't like the power of cards. Am I missing something? So in decks where you have a lot of 2+ cost cards, the power ups are just extra 2 resource cards. They're not as good as the generic 2 resources like Strength or Genius, but they're still super good. I might end up with a Helicarrier and a Quinn Carrier in. Let's see. These are in for sure. These are my suspect allies. Valkyrie and She-Hulk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 27, 28, 29. So that put me at 45 if I add in this. I bet we can cut down. Let me get that Quinn Carrier. Taking a picture. That's how you remember. All right, let's put She-Hulk and Valk back in Steven's deck. Let's take Quinn Carrier. And then let me grab a set of these campaign cards. Addison saying, I think you need to go harder on allies or lighten up. Middle of the road will get you squished. Well, I went a little lighter. Is six light enough? All right, let's see. Technically, this was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 30, 45. Heroic saying no power of aggression. So the problem is I have 7 cards out of 40 right now that I could actually play it with. That's not enough. I'm playing a kind of lowish curve aggression list. I don't think I ultimately need them. My resource spread's pretty okay. Travis saying, get over here over Piercing Strike. So get over here is 0. That's a fair point. So it can get, oh, let me look at get over here real quick. Deal damage to him, but it's only a minion. So Piercing Strike deals 3 to an enemy, and it gets rid of the tough. So if a minion has it, obviously it's really good. The upside of get over here is a 0. So if a minion gets tough, then yeah, of course it's really good. And it would get rid of stun, which is at 0. That's notable, for sure. I just don't think that, you know, I don't know. I don't know if Spidey attacking is super a concern for me. All right. I'm close. I'm thinking I'm going to stick at 45. I just need to drop one more card. I'm thinking about dropping a 1. You'll pay for that. Even though I think it's phenomenal, I have to be in hero, and they have to... I guess if I'm in hero, they're going to attack me. That's so good. I'm going to be on 3 of that. I recant. Yeah, where is it? Aaron saying, I think we are already playing too much into the minion side of things for solo, just a bit situational. I like melee more than Relentless Assault too. Yeah, so I'm on 1 melee and 2 Relentless Assault. Essentially, I don't have a ton of ways to deal with minions, so I like being able to. And I think Relentless Assault and toe-to-toe kind of get me there. It gives me some options to deal, which I think I'll need... When I'm looking at Spidey's, where'd his signature cards go? The, where's that? Spider Tracer is like the one way I can remove a decent amount of threat in the game. So being able to make sure I can get a minion off the table might be super important. Alan said, Skilled Strike seems odd. Do you ever want to use your hero to strike directly? So the trick is, there's only so much health in this game. And 0 for 2 when Crossbones stage 2 has 14 health is like super significant. So I'm kind of toying with how much damage I can do. Yeah. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in the Quinn Carrier. We're going to be at 46, and we're going to like it. And I just want to see. There's a couple cards in here that I'm kind of like feeling out. Melee and Piercing Strike being 2 of them. But I feel like the only way I'm going to really make big decisions is actually playing. And if I lose, I lose. We'll try it again, and we'll go from there. Marcus, yes, feel the power of a fuller deck. All right, let me shuffle this up, and then we'll read down the campaign. Marcus saying, I always play at 50 cards. So there's a reason not to, but I can swing either way. Pun unintended. Feels good not playing leadership. Leadership's so good. All right, let's get this in here. Then we'll read the campaign. Reminder on the campaign rules, we'll have a campaign log, 5 snares back to back, cards added to decks don't count. Playing the expert campaign, so I have the standard and expert sets in. I have the comic here, for those who haven't already seen this. Essentially, it says, Avengers, come in. This is Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Cap says, Director Fury, what's wrong? To which Nick responds, Project Pegasus is under attack. An army of Hydra soldiers has laid siege to the facility. Crossbones is leading the assault. We need you there now. Cap says, tell your men to hold the line, Fury. The Avengers are on the way. So basically, he's raiding this facility in Colorado, I think. Crossbones is attacking the Project Pegasus facility in the Adirondack Mountains with a small army of Hydra troops. The S.H.I.E.L.D. soldiers stationed there fight desperately to protect the facility, but they're being overwhelmed by Hydra's blitzkrieg assault. They need your help to stop Crossbones from capturing the experimental weapons being developed in the Pegasus labs. Villain deck, Crossbones 1 and 2. I've upgraded to 2 and 3 because I'm an expert. The main scheme is attack on Mount Athena. 1A says, set up, create the experimental weapons deck. I have that here. I'm going to shuffle and move to the next scheme. Attack on Mount Athena needs 3 per player. It starts with 0, and it gets 1 per player every round. When revealed, reveal the top card of the experimental weapons deck. So we'll do that in a second. The top card is Laser Rifle, +1 attack. When attached villain attacks, the attack gains ranged. Ranged, it's a new rule. An attack with a ranged keyword ignores retaliate. I can spend a energy and physical resource as a hero to discard this card. So we'll get to that in a minute. And I definitely have these on the wrong side. Let's use this blue one and see how we feel about it. Put me here. Okay. Encounter deck, it's the Crossbones set, experimental weapons, Hydra Assault, Weapons Master, Legions of Hydra, and standard set. That's all already here with my obligation. Each player records their identity, Spider-Man, and then we'll see if we achieve victory. Crossbones Stage 2 has 2 scheme, 2 attack with a special. While he has a weapon, it gains piercing. Piercing knocks off tough status tokens. Yep. And when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Crossbones machine gun and attach it to Crossbones. I forgot to do that. Where are you at? There it is, Crossbones machine gun. 0 attack, has 2 ammo counters. When Crossbones attacks, remove an ammo counter from this card, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Take indirect damage equal to the number of boost icons on the discarded card. Warner says, hey, we're playing. Good luck. Thanks, Warner. Jeremy says, Crossbones crushed me the first time I played this solo. Well, hopefully I have a little bit better luck. We'll see. One of the upsides of solo is that I think the games are going to be relatively fast. Aaron says, good luck and swing wide of that machine gun. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping for Aunt May. Aunt May early is nice, because it means I can go up, take some damage, come down, and recover. Let's ask someone asking how the French press feels about my deck. We'll see. Seems like it's feeling pretty good. All right, we're shuffled up. I can play with my hand up, actually, which is pretty nice. I'm going to do that over here so you guys can see it because it's just me. There's Spider Girl, Spider Tracers. I like seeing a web shooter on turn 1. Bronze also not bad. Nick Fury. And Piercing Strike. So here's what I'm looking at. Web shooter. Flip. Nick Fury, ultimately for 3. And then he'll let me draw 3 cards, and I'll have 4 cards at that point. Spider Tracer's not doing anything for me right now. Spider Girl, not really doing anything for me right now. Piercing Strike, not really doing anything for me right now. Brawn could do something for me. So I know I'll be able to play Brawn if I want to, which is pretty good. And that'll let me block with Nick, and then not have to use Brawn for the Crossbones attack. It's also a ton of health. I can put a couple damage for free on Nick, or at least one of it from his machine gun. Well, I'm not saying, dang, that blue looks good. It does. I like it. Don't tell Jonathan. I don't want to sway his opinion. So I think I'm going to keep these 3. And we're going to get rid of these 3. I don't have that crazy... What's the name of that? Anti-hero propaganda. I took that obligation on, it was random, but I took it in the first campaign and it's miserable. Okay, so now another thing I need to look at is getting rid of these weapons. I don't like these weapons. So a lightning and a physical. We'll start here. I'm going to play my web shooters. I'm going to use these fancy, fancy new things. Then I'm going to flip to Spider-Man. I think I'm going to play Nick Fury. Let's see. I'm going to do this in a way. I'm going to put him here. These cards are going to be popping there. Okay. I'm going to pay for that 1 with a web shooter. And I got to keep 1 card. Now, I definitely want to keep a physical or a lightning. So like maybe get rid of that rifle. I'm going to draw 3. If I draw a 2, I could play Hulk and get rid of a weapon if I draw the right ones. And there's no threat for Brawn to really deal with right now. I think I'm gonna go for max value. This could go miserably for me, just so everyone's aware. I didn't draw the resource, so that's gonna stop me. But I did ultimately, let's think about this. So I can either get rid of a weapon or play a Hulk. You guys know what I'm going to do, don't you? We're going to play Hulk, and I'm going to hang on to this Enhanced Spider Sense. That's true. I can slide him a little bit to give myself another row. So over to the side is my hand, and in front of me is what I've played. So, I mean, I'm just punching a lot. Let's start with Nick. He'll just do 2. And then let's swing with Hulk. He's doing 3. We're down to 9. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is going to go, especially if Hulk doesn't discard himself. It's a lightning. We're doing 1 to everything, including old Spidey. Spider-Man's going to swing for 2. So he's down to 6. And that's going to be my round. So we'll ready and draw. That's pretty good. Okay, so first things first, we'll put a threat on. Only needs to get to 3, so hopefully, I'm saving that Enhanced Spidey Sense in case he flips Advance. It'll just buy me a decent amount of time. And then he's going to attack me. So I'm, of course, going to block with Nick Fury. His machine gun fires. So I'll actually take 2 on Hulk in case he gets an assault or something. I can just pitch Hulk for this. He's at 3 attack because he got this laser rifle, plus a boost card. It's an assault, which is a boost of 0. But Nick Fury did his job. So I appreciate it. And actually, when he attacks me, Spider-Man's going to draw a card. So we're going to get a toe-to-toe. Okay, and then we'll get my encounter card, which is Shadows of the Past. I'm going to go ahead and use my web shooter, enhance Spidey Sense, and just cancel the when revealed effects of Shadows of the Past. And that is just very fortunate. I think holding on to that card, super good, because Shadows of the Past would be miserable. Oh, Machine Gun is a flip, which would have been Shadows of the Past. So I would have taken the 2 anyway. And then I haven't even canceled. Stream, you the best. I can't imagine playing without you. The encounter card is a Hydra Soldier. It has guard, and then I get an encounter card when I defeat it. Tristan's saying, do you get the card if Nick defends? So Spider-Man's interrupt is when the villain initiates an attack against you, you draw a card. So it's when it first happens before you've decided blockers. Oh. Wait a second. A few things. Machine gun is not direct damage. It says take indirect damage. So I gotta pick where it goes. It's indirect, not direct. The other thing is the attack before the boost would have actually been assault. So assault has no boost icons. And then put it flipping back and reversing. Then the boost card would have been Shadows of the Past. And then the encounter card would have been Hydra Soldier. So that's actually really insane. Hulk only having 2 on him instead of 4. That was the correct order of things. Okay, so then we come back around to my turn. And we're looking at a few things. Now, this is ultimately where another ally would have been great. But, you know, a card like Melee is actually super good here because I could do 3 to both of these people, and then I can have Hulk swing in and knock out Crossbones. If he flips a lightning, he can get rid of the Hydra Soldier. Actually, no. I have to get rid. He has guard. That's the thing. Let's look. If I get a Quinn Carrier out, 1, I'm going to spend 2 on it. Let's just say I spend 2. And then I can melee. I really just need to see what Hulk does first. So I don't have I guess I could. I'm just going to have Hulk punch isn't it right? Nope. Heroic saying the indirect is split among characters. I thought indirect means I get a pick. Yeah, this is interesting. Can I play melee when there's a guard in play? Yeah, because it's deal 3 to an enemy, period. Deal 3 to another enemy. So I deal 3 to the Hydra Soldier, then deal 3 to Crossbones. Yeah, chat backing me up. Indirect is basically you get to pick where it goes. So I've already seen Shadows of the Past go. I'm less concerned about keeping enhanced Spidey sense, and I feel like, I mean, part of me is just go, right? I don't even know if I need to build. Like, Quinn Carrier, how much is that going to actually make me? It's going to have to be 4 turns before it breaks even. I don't think that's enough. I don't. Because what I really want to do is I want to toe-to-toe so I can fire this machine gun, put the damage on Hulk before Hulk goes away. So I think I'm going to scrap my play. And ultimately, if there's a lightning and a physical, I don't have a lightning. I do. If I use this and my web shooter, I can get rid of his weapon. I can toe-to-toe. Can't quite afford it. So I won't be getting rid of a weapon, and that's just fine. But I can keep enhanced Spidey sense, I think. So I think I can melee toe-to-toe and keep enhanced Spidey sense. Oh, I get to draw a card too when I toe-to-toe. Because if I punch with Spidey, and then I melee, enemy's gone, Crossbones is down to 3. Hulk swings for 3. On the timing on Hulk, would Crossbones be in stage 3 when his ability triggers? Appreciate that. Rules reference page 9. Indirect damage must be split evenly among all characters. Got him. The other thing about toe-to-toe is that, like, I could just block with Hulk. I could literally put the indirect damage from the machine gun on Hulk. I could block with Hulk. And deal 5 back and get a card. And hold on to enhanced Spidey sense. Because if I get rid of the Hydra Soldier, I'm going to have 2 encounter cards. So I like having that around. So I think it's attack, melee to get rid of the Hydra Soldier. But toe-to-toe would be a lot of dead damage. Jared says, first player decides the order of effects when multiple triggers together. So that would be Hulk after attack. Well, that doesn't quite make sense. I think it's he deals his damage. The question is after he attacks. I think the new Crossbones would be around. Yeah, I agree with that. I think instead of melee, I can toe-to-toe the Hydra Soldier to take 2 and then deal 5 back. And then I literally have Hulk. If he hits a melee and or a lightning, I have enough damage to just take out Crossbones. I can take the indirect damage here, and I can take the attack on Spidey. That's true. That would let me play the Quinn Carrier and then use the Quinn Carrier to pay for toe-to-toe. And then I'll get an extra card, so who knows where it goes from there. So let's start there. I'm going to play Queen Carrier. I'm going to use the Queen Carrier to play toe-to-toe. And I'm going to do this on the Hydra Soldier. So he's going to attack me. I'll take 2. And then I deal 5 back. And that gets me an encounter card. Yep. And then Hulk is going to attack Crossbones. He's down to 3. And I'll flip the top card of my deck. It's a physical, so he's down to 1. And Hulk does 1 to himself. That's super good. So then I have to decide if now is the time or not. Because Spidey could also just thwart. I could hang out. I could also recover 2 with first aid on anybody. But I think Enhanced Spidey Sense is too good. Aaron, I only draw a card when the villain attacks me. So the Hydra Soldier attacking me doesn't net me a card. But I can still basically put an indirect on Hulk right now and block with him, which is a really good value. So because I have the blocker, I feel pretty comfortable knocking Crossbones out. I'm going to go ahead and punch Crossbones for 2. We're going to the next stage. Stage 3, Crossbones. Well, as a weapon, he gains piercing, which means an attack with the piercing keyword discards any tough status cards. Okay, when revealed, reveal the top card of the experimental weapons deck. Uh-oh. Exosuit, I have to discard 1 of each to get rid of it, and it's a +1/+1. Luckily, I have 2 wilds between the Queen Carrier and the Web Shooter. Yeah, I mean, I can basically, if he gets like an assault or something to attack, I can cancel it. I don't think I need this first aid. Hulk's going to be going away. So let's end the round. I'm going to actually discard the first aid. I'm going to stay in Spidey. And we're going to draw back out 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an incredible hand. Because he's at what, 16? So I have a swinging web kick for 8 hanging around. Technically, Hulk could live to fight another day. Because I have a backflip and enhanced Spidey sense. So like it's so good. And a black cat. All right, first we're going to go threat on. And then Crossbones is going to attack me. So the first thing, we'll fire the ammo and discard a card. I'm going to take 2 indirect damage. One of it's definitely going on the Hulkster. But I'm thinking I can finish this game next round. Because I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 8, 13. It's close to being game over. So I'm going to take 1 on Spider-Man. And then the actual attack happens, which is 3, 4, 5 plus a boost card. I'm going to draw a card because he attacks me. And then I'll let it flip. Plus 2, it's 7. I'm going to go ahead and just cancel that with a backflip. And then I get my bag card. And we will reveal Hard as Nails. Give the villain a tough status card. If you cannot heal the villain 3 damage instead. So he's going to get tough. It's going to make the end of the game plan a little tougher. But them's the beats. And then an eviction notice. That's actually not bad here. So I will flip, because it's going to give me a bonus resource, basically. I get to discard a random card from my hand, or I can exhaust. And the tough status is going to make this not winnable yet, so I'm going to go ahead and exhaust to get rid of it, because I don't want to lose that swinging web kick. It's too valuable. Okay. And that's it. That's the turn. So then it's back to me. And I can't use the web shooters while I'm here. But I can... I think you always start with Black Cat, right? Oh, no. You start with Hulk. But it's... oh, no. This is the problem. Black Cat can take 1 from Hulk. So, basically, I kind of want to start with Hulk, but he's got a tough status token. So I really want to take this tough off with Black Cat. But if Hulk goes after Black Cat, he could potentially damage her. You know, Cecil. So let's go ahead and play Black Cat. I'm going to use my scientist resource here. And Spidey Tracers, because I'm not going to get to play it. And she says, after you play Black Cat, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Add each card with a printed mental resource to your hand. Oh, the game has been friendly to me. We'll add another enhanced Spidey Sense to hand. It's probably just going to be a resource. Black Cat's going to swing and take off this tough status token. And then I guess the upside to there's no way I was going to exhaust and lose a card. Let's go ahead and flip. I'm going to swing with Hulk for 3. We'll see what the deck gives me. 1 to everything. So 1 to Spidey. Oh, wait. Before I do that, I'm actually going to web shooter for a first aid on Hulk. I meant to do that. Because he is a blocker. So 1 to everything. So he'll take an extra 1. Black Cat will take 1. Spidey took 1. And Crossbones will take 1. And then we're going to go ahead and cash in Swinging Web Kick for 8. So he's going to be down to 4. And we're living on a prayer now, mediumly. I'm just going aggro at this point, which is super cool to be able to do. So I'll draw my 5. There's Aunt May and a Swinging Web Kick. All right, first thing, we're going to put a token on so he advances. I guess I could have maybe stopped that. 2A, the Infinity Stone. Inside the Project Pegasus facility, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents fight desperately to prevent Hydra from obtaining the Reality Stone. Oh, I don't discard the carrier. How does that work? Let's see, where was I at? 2A. Agents fight desperately to prevent Hydra from obtaining the Reality Stone stored within. When revealed, reveal the top card of the Experimental Weapons deck. He gets the Power Gauntlets. Plus 0 attack after the attached villain attacks and damages you, discard a card from your hand. All right, and then it starts with 1 per player, and it's got to get to 12 to advance. Nothing but time. Okay, so at this point, I really just have to survive. He's going to attack me. I'm going to block with Hulk. It's a 3, 4, 5. And he's not going to damage me, so it'll be fine. Make it 6. Hulk, you're doing your job. Thanks for playing. I get to draw a card as well. And then I get an encounter card. Hydra Regular. Incite 1. When this card is revealed, place a threat on the main scheme. That could be brutal. It could be brutal. All right. And then I believe it switches to me, right? So I need to do 4? Well, I don't remember what these trigger off of, but I'm going to get rid of as many weapons as I can. So let's use these 2 to get rid of here. I don't think it matters, if I remember correctly. And then I'll Swinging Web Kick for 8 into Crossbones. Let's see what happens. Victory. Each player chooses 1 of the tech upgrades from the Hydra campaign set and adds it to their deck. I need to find those cards. I think they're in this stack. Oh yeah, heal first. That's correct. That is absolutely correct. So let's back this up. He's got 4 left. I don't have a clean way to heal this. I do have a really clean way, actually. So instead, we'll swing for 2. We'll swing for 1 with Black Cat. I'm not going to remove that upgrade. We're going to go 3 for Mockingbird, 1 for Aunt May. I'm going to flip down, heal 4. Chat has my back on this. And then I'll finish it with Mockingbird. That way I have 1. 1 damage instead. Yeah, that was super clean. So I get a tech upgrade, and I have to find those. I like this deck a lot. I feel like the needle you're threading ultimately, right, is you're literally you just have to finish the game quickly. That's what you're banking on. All right, so now there's some of these in our other decks. Let me look at what these are, because there's the tech. I get a tech upgrade. So Tactical Scanner's 1. It's set up, so it starts in play. Discard it and remove it from the campaign log. Draw 5. There's also a Laser Cannon. Deal 5 to the villain and each enemy. So that's really good, particularly in this. 5 damage is a ton. Let me look at what the other ones did. Those are in our decks. So previously, Steven picked the Adrenal Stems. Discard this card and remove it from the game. Heal, ready your hero and heal 5. It's not bad. It's probably not the one I would pick in solo. And then I picked Basic Thwart upgrade. +2 hit points and +1 thwart. Eesh. Am I going to be thwarting? Jared saying you drew energy on Hulk. He did 1 to everything. You lost Black Cat. No, Black Cat doesn't do a consequential attack damage to herself. So that's not how that works. That's like one of the best parts about her. The real Yurik saying you have voice recognition to display cards? That's so cool. It's actually not. We have a hardworking team at home. Probably Bryce right now making it pop up. So when I say a card like Queen Carrier, he is doing some dancing over there to make that pop up real quick. I think I'm between Laser Cannon and Basic Thwart upgrade just to make Spider-Man reasonable at thwarting and give him some extra health. Oh, that's Basic Thwart upgrade as a condition. That's not even the thing. It's the Emergency Teleporter is the other option, which lets me get an ally for free. I'm going to go with the Laser Cannons. 2 reasons that are good. 1, it's awesome, and 2, it's not in the other decks, so I don't have to mess with stuff. So I think we're going to try to squeeze in the second scenario here. How do you guys feel about that? Bryce, you doing all right? Yeah, it's still pretty early. That was quick. That was super quick. This is fun. This is actually really strong. I never ever thought I would enjoy playing solo games, but here we are. So it's campaign. The 1 damage is going to stick around from this scenario. I'm going to put my eviction notice back in the stack, and let's see. We're going to move on. Let's read the story here. Captain Marvel says, as the dust settles, she doesn't say it, it's just the title. As the dust settles at Project Pegasus, smack, give up Crossbones, game over. He says, you fools, I never wanted the tech. I just needed to give Madame Hydra time to make off with the stone. And then Absorbing Man shows up and says, and now I'm here to cover her escape. Scenario 2, Absorbing Man. The tide of battle turned against Hydra after you arrived to aid the beleaguered shield shoulders at Project Pegasus. Crossbones has been captured and his army has been defeated, but Madame Hydra escaped the facility with an Infinity Gem. You chase her outside, but you are stopped short by the imposing form of the Absorbing Man. The formidable villain has been hired by Red Skull to delay your pursuit. You will have to defeat him before you can recover the Infinity Gem. So I'm going to divide these cards back out because a lot of them are going to be required in the next scenario. So what do you guys think? How do you feel about the aggression deck? While I'm going to let the chat roll in while I'm splitting this deck up. One notable thing here, I'm pretty sure these weapons all come with me. Shelf Leech experimental attached for it. Yeah, so I should have read that in the first section. I think everyone that came into play. So in Steve and I's campaign, all of them came into play. Yeah, so it's just those three. Those three are going to stick with me. I'm going to take a picture instead of having a campaign log. Boom. All right. Crossbones is a fun villain. That went way faster than I expected it to, though. It's crazy what happens when I don't have to sit around and wait on Steven to make a decision. Just kidding. Solo is just way quicker. All right, Crossbones. Thanks for doing business. Gonna put him over here. And these three are gonna go in for sure. Let me find good old Absorbing Man. There he is. My chat's being wonky. I know it's being wonky. All right, Absorbing Man 1A is None Shall Pass. So it's Absorbing Man 1 and 2. If I'm an expert, it's 2 and 3. Absorbing Man Standard and the Hydra Patrol set. So Hydra Patrol, my standard expert cards, plus my Absorbing Man stack, plus the experimental weapons, form his deck. So I'm going to put these side schemes to the side. My laser cannon starts in play. All right, that's a pretty quick setup. Let me check something really quick. I think my chat's being weird. If you're on YouTube, leave me a comment right now. I don't think that these chats are coming through. Actually, if you're anywhere, leave me a comment. Huh. Let's shuffle this up while I'm waiting on this to check. It's pretty crazy. So for some reason, the thing that curates our chats into one stream is just failing. It was working perfectly. Bradley saying Zach rules on Twitch. Yeah, that's working. YouTube comments just not coming through again. Weird. I wonder if that's YouTube or the other side. I'm going to catch up on these comments really quick. I wondered. I asked, and no one was commenting. I was like, all right, well, I'm all alone now. Robbie saying, thank you guys for checking in. Aaron Clark saying, yeah, it worked great. I think it'll be a little more challenging once you get to Zola and Red Skull, but for now it's going to shine. Bob says, shots fired. Zing. We'll see. Aaron says, a lot of people play aggression in solo. It and leadership are the best at it. Yeah, I think that makes sense. What up, Phyllis Master? Phil's Match saying the nice thing about solo is how quickly you get through the scenarios. Yeah, that was really fast. What up, Travel Photo Lady? Says from YouTube, love you guys and can't wait to see more Marvel Champions content. Well, we appreciate it. Glad to have you here. All right, there's the Absorbing Man deck. Thanks, Phyllis Master, for hopping over onto Twitch to let me know. So 1A, flipping over, this is called None Shall Pass. It comes in with 2 per player, so it's going to come in with 2. It needs to get to 12 per player. Whoa. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, place a delay counter here. So every round, I'll put a delay counter. When environment enters play, discard each other environment card in play. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game. Okay. Absorbed Man Stage 2, 2 scheme, 2 attack. Absorbed Man gains the trait of each environment in play. When revealed, if Super Absorbing Power is in play, deal 1 encounter card to each player. Otherwise, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Super Absorbing Power and reveal it. Let's go get Super Absorbing Power and go from there. Super Absorbing Power, it's a side scheme. It comes into play with 3 per player. And it says Absorbed Man gains the ice, metal, stone, and wood traits. If it's revealed as a boost card, you reveal this card. So it's not revealed as a boost card, so we'll go from there. He also starts with 15 hit points. He's a little healthier than old Crossbones. And that's it. Not so bad. Aaron says, get rid of that card. Aaron Clark saying, need a discard to get an environment too, Zach. Discard what? Side 1A says, search for, let me read side 1A. Discard cards from the encounter deck until an environment is discarded. Put that card into play. So Super Absorbing is not. All right, let's do it. Oh, first one, Snowy Hillside. After Absorbing Man makes an undefended attack against you, place a threat on the main scheme. 2 instead of their 5 or more delay counters, okay? And this says... So these both start in play, right? One environment's always in play? Travel Photo Lady, I am definitely excited about Kang. We'll probably actually finish the campaign maybe next week or the week after, and then we'll do Kang, and then we'll do another campaign. Phil's Master said, the big thing here is don't let them delay too much. Not just for now, but also for later. Yeah, I don't know what that means yet, because we haven't gotten there in the campaign, but that's exciting. All right. Let's do opening hands, shall we? Got Snowy Hillside in play. Everything looks right. If anything's wrong, let me know. Brawn, Spider Tracer, Relentless Assault, Helicarrier, it's a good opening. You'll pay for that, and First Aid. So I like Helicarrier for sure. I don't need Relentless Assault or Spider Tracers yet, or First Aid. Let me see. If I have 6, I can definitely get a Brawn in play, which is really good. There's actually stuff I want to deal with at this point. So I'm going to keep, you'll pay for that, and Brawn, because there's enough scheme that I want to deal with it. And I'm going to mulligan these 3. Skilled Strike, not bad. Relentless Assault, not going to do much. Backflip, not a bad card. Okay, so turn 1, I'm going to use my free resource, and am I actually going to hold on to You'll Pay for that? Backflip seems really good. So I've used my free here, and I have 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to end up playing Brawn. Them's the beats. All right, I'm going to use my free resource to play a Helicarrier with these 2 cards. Then I'm going to flip, and we're going to use the Helicarrier and 2 more to play a Brawn. He's going to attack for 1 and remove a threat from somewhere. Let's start here. Spider's going to swing for 2. And then we'll go to the top of the round. Some good cards. First thing, we'll put 1 on per player, so it's going to go to 3. And then Absorbing Man is going to attack me. Now, because of Snowy Hillside, if it's undefended, I'm going to put a threat on the main scheme. Oh, and he gets a delay counter. So I want to go quickly. Okay, he's going to attack me. When he does, I'll draw a card. And then I think I'm just going to block with Spidey. Because that's going to prevent damage and the threat. So I'll block 3. He gets a boost card. It's +2. There goes my obligation. So I end up taking 1. Okay, then we get my bad card. It's a Hydra Soldier. He's got guard. That's annoying. This looks like a job for Sentry. All right, let's see. Ultimately, if I end up flipping down, I can get a Web Shooters out for free. I like the Spider Tracers here. Because I can just clear the scheme. Or, Sentry plus Hydra Soldier is a lot of encounter cards. I definitely think Swing Web Kick's in order. I might end up staying and having a You'll Pay for that to clear threat. Although with Hydra Soldier, I have to get rid of that for my Web Kick to matter. I'm liking Sentry here. And a flip down. So if I go Helicarrier for this, or better, technically, get an encounter card. Then I can punch for 1, remove 1. Sentry can punch to remove. I can flip down and put a Web Shooters in. I can technically keep a card in this exchange. I think those Web Kicks are just too valuable. I'm not going to be in hero form. Yeah, there's alternate plays too, right? Because I have to get rid of the Hydra Soldier at some point. And Sentry being out and not having to block Absorb Man also seems good to me. Because I could also get a Spider Tracer down and remove the threat off of Super Absorbing Power. Give up the old Web Shooter dream. Or not. I could literally go Helicarrier into Sentry. When I flip down, I could use my free resource to play the Spider Tracers. And then I could use Sentry and Brawn to get rid of the Hydra Soldier. Clear. And then next round, I can play the Web Shooter. I like that a lot. Let's go with it. Let's go Helicarrier. We're going to play a Sentry, so I get an encounter card. Then I'm going to flip down. I'm going to use my free resource to attach a Spidey Tracer to a Hydra Soldier. And then Braun's going to attack here for 1. When I do that, I get to remove 1 as well, so I'll remove 1 here. Technically wasted 1. Should have thought about the Spider Tracers on the absorbing power, but I don't think I can count on that. Then Sentry is actually going to swing for 3 here, doing 1 to himself. It's going to get rid of it. I get another encounter card, but when I get rid of it, I can trigger the Spider Tracers, and we'll remove 3 here. It's still in my hand, which is basically being saved for next round. And then we'll go to the next round. So we'll have a full hand. There's a webbed up. Aunt May, my fave. Genius is good. Ooh, and an energy. I'm about to lock this Absorb Man out of this game. And then to chase them down. That would have been nice to have a second ago. Would have been a really clean turn. Okay. So blank, the problem is you can't use Web Shooter when you're Alter Ego. It's a hero resource. So you can only do that when you're in Spidey mode. Okay. First thing, we're going to put a threat on. Then he's going to interact with me. He's going to scheme. So it's just 2 plus a special. Put it into play. It's a dense forest. After Absorbing Man makes an undefended attack against you, take an indirect damage. 2 instead of their 5 more. Oh, there's another one here. So that's not bad. I have a bunch of allies, so that could be interesting. I don't think I would ever use it on that, though. So I have Aunt May, though, the real ticket here. Plus, then I get a bad card and 2 scheme on. Let's see what my 3 bad cards are. Omnimorph Duplication. So right now, he's wood type. Discard a random card from my hand. Anything but webbed up. I'm going to pick one at random. It's my Web Shooters. Yeah, I think technically I could have paid 1 to put the Web Shooters down. I don't think so, though. Because if you use the card that I also used to play Sentry, to play Web Shooters, I guess, yeah, I had an extra card in hand, so I could have gotten it out, and it would have 2 on it now. It's fair. So that was the first one. That was the Omnimorph Duplication. Next, we get a Hydra Regular. Insight 1. Puts 1 on the main scheme. Then we get Abandoned Facility. It's got Surge, so it gets rid of this environment. After he makes an undefended attack against you, discard a resource icon from your hand. 2 instead of there's 5 or more. So it's got Boost. And a Hydra Soldier. Getting dunked on. Okay. So we're back to me. And I got to make some choices. So I think this is happening. My free resource is here. So I actually have a spare resource. Interesting. All right, let's use my Genius resource to play Aunt May. She'll recover my 2 damage. Let's flip into Spidey mode. He's going to go ahead and punch the Hydra Regular for 2. And when I do, I'm going to play Chase Them Down. After a hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. And then I'm going to go ahead and web up Absorbing Man. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take out the Hydra Soldier and take an encounter card. Because he's got guard. End of the round. Let's ready. Draw. There's the Hulk whale I wanted. Start, we get 1 threat on. Then he attempts to attack me, but he fails because he's webbed up, and now he's stunned. Then I get a boost card. First things first, Piercing Thorns. Discard a card at random from your hand if he is a wood trait, which he's not. Discard one card you control. So one random card, and then he's going to get the Power Gauntlets. What up, David Whitfield? Random card is going to be, there goes Mockingbird. He's already stunned. All right. And that was my bad turn. He did get the Power Gauntlet, so after he attacks and damages me, I discard a card from my hand. It's not the best for me. Let's see. Do I have 12 damage in? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 if I want it. I will defeat him, so I could chase him down too. Let's see. So I'm definitely going to swing for 3 here. So he's down to 9. And then I'll go ahead and swing for 1 here, which will also remove 1 here. He's at 8. So I can do 6 to him first. Apparently I missed a delay counter last turn. He's definitely getting to 5. Can't quite get them all out. Now I can get Hulk out with my free resource on the other side. But then I can't use Chase him down. I'm going to regret this. Helicarrier. And 1 for Hulk. We're going to go ahead and swing with Hulk. I know it's crazy. I'm just feeling an aggressive mood. You know what I mean? Top card of my deck. It's a physical. Let's get 2 bonus damage. Sometimes you just gotta trust it. You gotta trust that feeling. And then I don't need to flip down. So I'm going to go ahead and just play an Endurance and get it out of my hand. And we'll stay where I'm at. I have 3 allies out. What is this? This is crazy. And Spider-Man will go ahead and swing for 2. So he's down to 1. And he's stunned. So he's not even going to get to attack me this turn. And my allies are going to just bury him next round. I like all of these things. Swinging Web Kick. There it is. And Black Cat. And Toe to Toes. I think I can knock him out next round. So first thing, we're going to put a threat on. And he gets a counter, so we're at 4. I think 5 is the magic number I want to not have to deal with. He's going to attempt to attack me, but he's stunned. Then I'm going to get a bad card. It's an advance, so he schemes for 2 plus a boost of 0. That's the other advance, so we'll add 2. And then it's back around to me. So I think his other side is 15 or 16 health. The question is, can I do 17? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 8, 17. I mean, I have it. This is great. Let's go ahead and swing with Brawn for 1. Do I get to trigger his after if he goes away on this attack? I don't think it'll much matter. We're going to flip to the other. Absorb Man 3. But I would just like to know for future reference. Gains a trait of each environment in play. Force response after he attacks. Or after he activates against you. If he has Ice or Stone, a threat on the scheme, Metal or Wood, taking indirect damage. Okay. Michael said you do, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, this aggression deck is awesome. I am so glad I picked Spider-Man Aggression. I am having a blast. Well, let's go with Sentry. He's going to swing for 3. So that's going to take him down to 13. And then let's get Hulk in there before anything else happens. 3 more down to 10. Hulk's going to do a consequential and we'll flip. And it's another physical down to 8. Hulk's on fire. I feel like my Hulk draws have been fortunate, to say the least. Down to 8. Well, you know what we do. Let's just punch for 2 with Spidey. Swinging web kick for 3. Into the game on full health. Touchdown. Not even 4 o'clock yet. Spidey aggression is my hero. Bob says, how are you doing that with Hulk? You just flip the physicals off the top. Bob says, what kind of crazy Hulk mojo is that? I mean, I think I was built for this moment. My whole life has led me here. Michael says, clap. That's what Hulk's incredible about. Even if he just discards himself the first time, it's still 2 for 3. It's not awful. But if he gets to swing twice and he does either a lightning or a physical, it's so much value for 2. All right, let's see. Victory. Record the number of delay counters. 4. I'm going to write this. I actually need to write this down. So it's 4. Solo campaign. 4 delay counters. And then the weapons are a picture that I took. And it says, each player may choose one of the basic condition upgrades in the campaign set, attach it to their identity. So the conditions that aren't in our other decks are basic defense upgrade, plus 3 hit points, plus 1 defense. There's a basic recovery, which is plus 4 hit points, plus 1 recovery. I won't be picking that one. Let me look at these other ones. And I chose the laser cannon, so I'm going to write that down. Okay, and then let's see what condition these conditions are in. There's the basic attack upgrade, plus 1 hit point, plus 1 attack. That's pretty attractive for old Spidey. Or plus 2 hit points, plus 1 thwart. I think it's attack time. You know what I mean? I think it's attack. So we're going to go with, what's it called? Basic attack upgrade. Plus it's got Spider-Man on it. I mean, look at that. It is plus 1 attack and plus 1 hit point. And I have 0 damage. All right, let me put this back. Okay, each player may choose basic condition, did that. Remaining hit points, did that. So then next time on Dragon Ball Z, essentially I'll read the story and then we'll talk about this campaign for a minute. Spider-Woman says, woo, glad that's done. Thor says, truly, that was a glorious battle. That sounds so much like him. Hawkeye, hey, what's that? Black Widow says, I have no idea. Then from the jet, let's get back to base and find out what's going on. In the jet, are you seeing what I'm seeing? There's a Hydra logo on this tower, the Avengers Tower. Hawkeye says, if you're seeing that Hydra somehow stole our tower, then yep. And then boom, the jet gets hit. It actually says, Cthulhu, we're hit, we're going down. And then it's awesome looking Taskmaster. And then these goons, look at these Hydra goons celebrating. That's so funny. Boom, more Avengers. Let's go make sure they're done for, boys, in Taskmaster, which is the next villain that I'm going to fight against. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it full screen. We're going to chat before I get out of here for a minute. All right, that deck was way better than I expected. Also, Bryce, thank you for being here. Feel free if you want to bounce. I'm not going to call any more cards up. Have a good evening. I'll see you Wednesday. Enjoy Tuesday not streaming. Stay safe. Tell the wife I say hi. Thanks for being here. That was fun. I had a lot of fun playing solo campaign. I really, 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 really enjoy Spider-Man aggression in this campaign. I feel like Steven and I are like having to make lemonade sometimes with our decks because we're just doing our thing. And the difference between 16 and 30 health, 16 is low enough you can just kind of go for it. And that's, if I were choosing how to play, that's how I would play. It's like just go for it and see if you can make it happen. But I'm surprised at actually how quickly I was able to put both of these villains away. I know it's going to get harder. I know Zola and Red Skull always get talked about. But I really, the aggression cards that have been coming out lately are super good. The allies are good. The cards are good. And I haven't ever played Spider-Man aggression. So that's been super fun too. And I think at Swinging Web Kicks, it's kind of cool. You know, we were looking at like Thor and Hulk and speculating that like, you know, Thor and Hulk we actually ended up with, I think it was Hulk, played a game of Standard just to see what it was like in that environment. And I think that, you know, a lot of the balance and the testing of this game is done around Standard. And I think a good part of it is done around Solo as well. And it makes sense, right? It's a lot easier to test a bunch of games and a bunch of mechanics in Solo. So you look at a hero like Spider-Man that I think gets, in 2 and 3 player games, overlooked a lot. And, you know, in particular, things like a swinging web kick get significantly better when you're playing in Solo because 8 damage is so relevant in the game. Chris Hodovec says, just wait till Wasp. Woo, those aggression cards are going to be great. Spidey says, toe-to-toe and counterattack can end whole stages in Solo. Absolutely. Michael saying, Zach playing like a pro. Thanks for that. It's very kind. See you, Aaron. He says, great job. Got to bounce. Keep on swinging, Spidey. Okay, so the plan is I'm not doing more Solo this week, but there's a couple dates in the next like month and a half where Steven's going to be gone. So I'm going to be looking to, once we, in our 2-player campaign, actually get to past the Red Skull, whenever that happens, I'm going to be looking to finish out this campaign. If you're watching this way not close to, not live basically, but after I finish the campaign, the second part of this video hopefully will be on the YouTube channel, and you can kind of see this this campaign play out fully. Yoda's Hut says, fun stream to watch. Thanks for being willing to play something Solo. Of course, I did some Solo streams because we've been streaming like 6 months straight, 5 days a week when Steven was going to be gone. And it went way better than I expected. You know, you just never know how easy it's going to be to actually like fly solo for 3 or 4 hours and play games and talk about it. But this is super fun. Wednesday I'm doing an Ash's deck building session. Thursday I'm going to revisit the Middle-earth CCG. I did that solo a couple months back, and I have a custom way of playing it that's super fun. And Friday I'll be unboxing the Innsmouth Deluxe Core, or not Core, the Deluxe cards. There's a Deluxe expansion coming out. Aaron says, nice, now that you've played more at the player counts, what do you think? Is there a player count you like most, or are all of them good? I think all of them are really good. Solo here has been a lot more fun than I expected. I think part of that, though, is that I have you hanging out, playing on live chat. You know, I am very fortunate that my little brother has played games with me my whole life. My best friends have played games with me my whole life. So I work with, you know, in tabletop. So I usually have no shortage of actual in-person opponents to play against. So, you know, if I were choosing, I would always choose to play with other people. And so I think 2 players, it's the one I played the most with Steven, and that's super fun. I really, 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 really love 3, and particularly 4-player. 4-player takes a lot longer, but I think the funnest experiences I've had are at higher player counts because it's more of a social engagement. And the reality is, like, especially at 4 players, there's a little more of kind of a downtime where you can engage, and the game's not so dense that like you're just so focused on the game. I feel like a lot of like really intense games where you have 4 or 5, say Twilight Imperium or something like that. It's so intense that you just have to really be locked in. But in this case, we just had a blast. 4 players, it was just I miss being able to play 3 or 4 people. It's desperately. I cannot wait for this whole thing to be over so we can just be open and I can hang out with all my friends again. Tim Hafe saying, are you going to post this deck to Marvel CDB? Yeah, I will. We actually have a Team Covenant Marvel CDB account, so I'll try to get onto that and post this deck. We're moving tomorrow, so it's going to be, I don't know when I'll get to that. I'm actually going from here literally as soon as this is over. That's why if this weren't happening, I would actually probably just go ahead and play the next scenario here. But once I cut this stream, I'm tearing down the whole studio. We're taking it all down, packing it up so that tomorrow morning, first thing, we can start the moving process. Chris saying Champions Weekend 2 when this is all over. Yeah, I think the first 2 or 3 months we're open after this is all over is going to be crazy for every game that we have a community for. I think it's going to be crazy. Speaking of that, if you haven't joined our Discord, you should. I'm going to post a link to that in a second before I get out of here. But our local and our community here in the chat, we basically for a long time didn't have a Discord. And the reason we started it is because we had a lot of people asking us if there was a place for them to hang out and chat with people that play these games when we weren't live. And so we like being able to engage with chat, but the conversations happening while we're playing have been fantastic. So, and it's just continued right over into that Discord. So if you haven't joined, check that out. It's super simple. There's a ton of people chatting Champions and all the other games that we cover. Michael says, I like 2 and 3 so much. 4-player takes so long, it kind of drives me crazy. Zach's right where the focus becomes, Zach is right where the focus becomes chatting with friends more than the game itself. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on if that's what you're looking for or not. Chris saying, good luck with the teardown move. Be careful. Look forward to seeing the new place, of course. We have an exceptionally talented team, and I'm not even really handling the move. I'm just helping with the studio because Steven's gone. But I appreciate the well wishes. David's saying 4-player is interesting because you have other players doing things you don't expect or maybe even want them to do. You also have like more extreme crazy turns, right? If you have 2 or 3 people that have an Avengers Mansion out or a helicarrier in Avengers Mansion, you can give one player like a crazy turn. And I think that's where some heroes like Hulk could actually shine because his biggest problem is going to be those like weirdly numbered hands where you can't really do much. But if you have a couple players to really give you a card or 2 and also a discount, like sometimes he's going to have like a 30 damage turn. Aaron's saying, I'm going to have to make a trip to Tulsa sometime in the future when things are normal again. Absolutely. I think that first 2 or 3 months we're open, whenever that is going to be crazy, and I think there's going to be a lot of people making that trip. So I look forward to meeting so many of you that we've been seeing these names for the past 6 months. All right, I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it a million times. To everyone watching, to everyone commenting, everyone subscribed on YouTube, everyone subscribed to products. If you don't know, we have subscriptions for most of the games that we cover. Sign up, automatically get all the future releases for Champions, and we also have components, the ones I've been using here. I use the prototype here of the, there's this bluish web theme board with tokens coming soon. But all the purchases, all the subscriptions, all the comments, all the people on the Discord, you're the absolute best. We wouldn't be able to be here without you. The whole team is grateful for everyone that is involved on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So shout out to you for helping make everything happen. We're super excited. We are moving. If you're a local, major shout out to you. We've been at this location in Tulsa at 81st and Lewis for over 5 years now, and the support we've received from day one was just fantastic. We're super, super, super pumped about the next iteration of the store. We've actually been planning it for almost 2 years now, and we knew we were going to be moving this year. Regardless, we just thought we'd be moving immediately into our new location and a totally new way of our store existing, and obviously the pandemic hit, so opening a crazy new facility to have tabletop happening isn't exactly super feasible at this very moment. So it's kind of an in-between, but I'm super pumped. We've been talking about it for years, and we've always known for the past 3 or 4 years that was kind of the time frame, is that we wanted to get everything with subscriptions very stable, get the website updated, had a lot of big projects that needed to happen before we could really focus in on the local store. But that's the next big project. So we'll be talking a lot about that on the podcast. A lot of the stuff that we're creating for the new store comes from a lot of the discussions we've been having. We do a weekly podcast called the Covenant Cast. So if you want some peeks at what that's going to look like, that'll be the place to get it. Really, seriously, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a privilege, honestly, and I'm looking forward to finishing this campaign at some point. So now I'm going to awkwardly look over at the computer and see if I can get this outro correctly. My mouse is dead, so that's going to be a problem, step one. Jonathan, can you hear me? I think I lost Jonathan. We'll see. I'm trying. All right. Again, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for commenting. I really genuinely appreciate it. You guys are all the best. A lot of kind words coming in the chat right now. It really does mean the world. It's been great, and I'll see you over in the new location.